I'm sorry, sir. Due to a change in the plane, we had to move some seats around. Your new boarding pass is for seat 32B, middle seat, economy, the gate agent said, her voice a practiced mix of fake sympathy and stiff company policy. Colonel Thomas Tom Callahan, 85 years old and a Medal of Honor recipient, looked down at the flimsy slip of paper, then at his original first-class ticket. There must be some mistake, he said quietly. This ticket was confirmed months ago. The agent just shrugged. Aircraft changes happen. 32B is your assigned seat now. 8 minutes later, Tom sat silently near the busy gate, his heart sinking. Suddenly there was a stir in the crowd. The airline's president, pale and out of breath, rushed to gate C12 in person. If you believe true honor deserves better than a middle seat, type respect below. Colonel Callahan carried his 85 years with quiet strength, the kind that often goes unnoticed in crowded airports. His shoulders were slightly hunched, worn down by time and old pain, but his eyes, though dimmer now, still held the sharp mind and steady resolve that had shaped his decorated military life. He never showed off. He wore simple slacks, a neatly pressed shirt, and a well-used but clean sport coat. Tucked away in his wallet, almost forgotten, was a folded copy of the citation for the Medal of Honor he'd earned during a brutal battle in Vietnam, where he had risked his life again and again to pull wounded soldiers to safety and lead his outnumbered unit. He rarely spoke of it, believing the award wasn't just about him but honored the courage of the men he had served with. Today, Tom was headed to Washington, D.C., invited to a special ceremony at the White House honoring Medal of Honor recipients. His granddaughter, Sarah, an Army captain herself, had scraped together her frequent flyer miles and spent a good chunk of her own money to buy him a first-class seat on Trans-Global Airlines. She wanted her grandfather, who still lived with pain from his war wounds, to travel comfortably and arrive well-rested for the big event. The seat had been confirmed for months, seat 2A, a roomy window seat. He had been looking forward to a quiet flight, a rare moment to simply relax. He got to the busy airport early, made it through security without trouble, and arrived at gate C12. As expected, the gate was packed, full of the usual confusion and noise of modern air travel. At the podium, 2 agents, Brenda and Mark, were handling the boarding process. Brenda, the more experienced one, looked tense as she spoke to a frustrated traveller. Mark, younger and calmer, was scanning tickets. Tom waited patiently in the priority line, holding his first-class ticket. When he reached the front, he handed it to Brenda. She scanned it, frowned at the screen, and started typing quickly. "Just a moment, Colonel Callahan," she said, her professional smile slipping. She whispered to Mark, who also checked the screen with a confused look. After a few more keystrokes, Brenda printed out a new boarding pass. "Colonel Callahan," she began, her voice taking on that flat, careful tone that usually comes right before bad news. "I'm sorry, but there's been a change in the aircraft for this flight," Brenda said. "The original plane had a mechanical issue, and the replacement has a different seat layout with fewer first-class seats." Tom felt a familiar weight settle in his chest. "So, what does that mean for my confirmed first-class seat 2A? Brenda didn't meet his eyes. She stared at the new boarding pass instead. "Unfortunately, sir, because the new plane has fewer first-class seats and we had to make room for our Diamond Elite passengers who were also affected, we had to reassign your seat. You're now in 32B. She handed him the slip. Tom looked at it. 32B. A middle seat, way at the back of economy. He had gone from a roomy window seat in first class to one of the most cramped spots on the plane. "A middle seat in economy," he said softly, his voice calm but full of disbelief. "After holding a confirmed first-class ticket for months, I'm flying to a White House event for Medal of Honor recipients. My granddaughter used her hard-earned miles and personal savings so I could fly in comfort because of my age and the back pain I live with from my service." Brenda's expression tightened. The fake sympathy faded. Now she spoke with the cold tone of someone quoting company rules. "Sir, I understand you're upset, but aircraft changes can't always be helped. Our policy clearly says seat assignments are not guaranteed. We reassign seats based on ticket type and frequent flyer status. While your ticket was in first class, it was booked with partner miles, which ranks lower than tickets bought directly, especially those from Diamond Elite members, when we have to reshuffle seating." Mark, the other agent, shifted uncomfortably beside her. He looked like he might speak, but Brenda shot him a firm glance, and he stayed silent. "So my confirmed ticket, the purpose of my trip, my age, my service," Tom said, pausing before adding gently, "my Medal of Honor status, which is listed on my booking as required for TSA pre-check. None of that counts?" Brenda blinked. For a moment something flashed across her face, surprise, maybe even annoyance. "Medal of Honor?" she repeated, glancing at her screen. Then she looked back at him, her voice turning slightly sharp. "Sir, many passengers have honorable service records. Our system prioritizes based on fare class and loyalty status. 32B is the best seat we can give you right now. You may request a partial refund for the fare difference after your flight by contacting customer service." There was no apology in her tone, no effort to help, just a cold wall of policy and procedure. Tom didn't argue. He'd faced this kind of stubborn, rule-driven thinking before, in much more serious situations. Still, the way they dismissed his circumstances and what he represented stung far more than the idea of a long, painful flight. "I see," he whispered. He took the thin economy boarding pass, the symbol of what he'd lost, and stepped away from the podium, finding an empty chair among the crowd at the gate. He felt a deep, heavy tiredness. It wasn't about missing out on the comfort of first class, it was about respect, about being recognized, about the basic courtesy that seemed so easily tossed aside by a computer system and an uncaring gate agent. He sat and watched as the gate announcement called for first-class boarding. The words stung. The irony wasn't lost on him. As Tom sat quietly, frustration simmering beneath his tired acceptance, a memory surfaced. His granddaughter Sarah had said something when she booked the ticket. "Grandpa," she told him, "Transglobal has a special number for people like you, for active service members and honored veterans. It connects straight to their Heroes liaison desk. No customer service runaround. If something goes wrong, call that number." She had written it down on a small card and slipped it into his travel wallet. At the time, he hadn't thought he'd need it. But now, with a sigh, he pulled out the wallet and found the card. It felt like a long shot. These special numbers were often just more red tape. Still, he had nothing to lose. He dialed. To his surprise, the phone was answered after just 2 rings, not by a robot, but a calm, professional-sounding man. "Transglobal Airlines Heroes Liaison. This is David. How can I help you?" Tom explained the situation clearly. Colonel Thomas Callahan, Medal of Honor recipient, had a confirmed seat, 2A, in first class, on Flight 714 to Dulles for a White House event. He had been moved without warning to 32B in economy because of a plane change. The gate agent hadn't listened to anything he said. David listened carefully, typing as Tom spoke. "Colonel Callahan, may I have your booking number and current gate?" Tom gave him the details. "One moment, Colonel." There was silence for about 30 seconds, just the faint clicking of a keyboard in the background. Then David returned. "Colonel, I see what happened. Please accept my deepest apologies on behalf of Transglobal Airlines. While the aircraft change was real, the way your seat was reassigned did not follow our protocol for veterans, especially not someone traveling to an official event like this. This is not acceptable. Please stay at gate C12. I'm escalating this right now. Someone will be with you very shortly." The call ended. Tom lowered the phone, unsure what to expect. Escalating to the highest levels? Very shortly. It sounded like corporate language meant to calm people down. He leaned back and closed his eyes, The buzz of the terminal faded to background noise. 5 minutes passed, then 6. Economy boarding had begun. 7 minutes, then 8. Suddenly the usual buzz of the gate was broken, not by an overhead announcement, but by the sound of rapid footsteps and urgent voices. A small group pushed quickly through the crowd. At the front of the group, looking pale and out of breath despite the cool air, was Mr. Edward Sterling, the President and CEO of Transglobal Airlines himself. Behind him were 2 senior vice presidents, one from operations, the other from customer service, and his assistant speaking quickly into a headset. They didn't stop at the line. They made a straight path for the gate podium. Their faces showed a mix of panic and urgency. Brenda and Mark froze, stunned, as the airline's top executives suddenly appeared in front of them. Even nearby passengers turned to watch, sensing something dramatic. Mr. Sterling stepped up to the podium, chest rising and falling from the rush. He didn't even look at the gate agents. His eyes scanned the waiting area. "Where is he?" he asked, his voice tight. "Where is Colonel Thomas Callahan?" Brenda, completely caught off guard, raised a shaky hand and pointed toward the windows. "There, sir. That's him, by the window." Sterling, followed closely by his team, hurried toward Tom. He slowed as he reached him, taking a moment to collect himself before leaning in slightly. "Colonel Callahan, sir. I'm Edward Sterling, President of Transglobal Airlines." Tom opened his eyes and looked up at the man standing before him, clearly someone important. "Mr. Sterling," he said quietly. "Sir, on behalf of the entire Transglobal family," Sterling began, his voice earnest, almost pleading, "please accept my most profound and humble apologies for the utterly inexcusable treatment you received today. There are no words that can fully express our regret for this failure." He motioned vaguely toward the podium. "The mishandling of your seat due to the aircraft change was a complete breakdown, not just of our protocols, but of our values, and frankly, of basic decency. It should never have happened." Behind him, gate agents Brenda and Mark stood pale and silent. They had never seen Mr. Sterling at a gate, let alone looking visibly shaken. The vice presidents were already in heated whispers with the station manager, who had just arrived. "Colonel Callahan," Sterling continued, voice steadier now but still tight with urgency, "we only became aware of this moments ago. The agent at our Heroes liaison desk escalated it immediately. Please know this is not how Transglobal honors its veterans, especially not a Medal of Honor recipient." He paused, then made a sharp decision. "Flight 714 will be held at the gate. We are reconfiguring the first-class cabin. If that means bumping one of our executives, or even myself, so be it. You will travel to Washington in the comfort and with the respect you are due." He added, more quietly, "And of course your entire trip and any future travel you or your granddaughter take with Transglobal will be complimentary, at the highest service level, for life. It's the least we can do." Tom listened, quiet and composed. Then he gave a small, weary nod. "Mr. Sterling, I appreciate your attention. It wasn't really about the seat. It was about the principle." "Colonel, the respect," Sterling finished for him, nodding firmly. "I understand completely, and that is exactly where we failed you today." He turned to the VPs. "Ensure the cabin is reset immediately. Personally escort the Colonel aboard. Find him the best possible seat." Then to Brenda, his tone shifted to icy precision. "Ms. Agent," he said, his voice low and deliberate, "you and I will be having a discussion about policy, interpretation, customer service, and the meaning of Heroes liaison in my office, as soon as this aircraft is airborne, as will your direct supervisor." Brenda looked like she might faint. Mark beside her seemed more relieved than afraid. Sterling turned back to Tom, his expression softening. "Colonel, is there anything I can do for you right now? Coffee? Water?" Tom offered a faint smile. "Just getting to Washington in time for the ceremony would be appreciated, Mr. Sterling." "You will be there, sir," Sterling vowed, "with honors." And so, Colonel Thomas Callahan, Medal of Honor recipient, was personally escorted onto Flight 714 by the president of the airline. He was placed in seat 1A, graciously offered by another passenger who, perhaps wisely, volunteered without hesitation. For the rest of the flight, he was treated with the respect he had more than earned. The incident at Gate C12 became legend within Transglobal. Within days, the Callahan Protocol was adopted, mandating immediate top-level escalation for any issue involving Medal of Honor recipients or similarly distinguished veterans. Brenda and her supervisor underwent intensive retraining in customer empathy and veteran service policies. Brenda was later reassigned to a non-customer-facing role. Mark, who had quietly reported his discomfort, was quietly commended. Word of the airline president personally intervening on behalf of a disrespected veteran spread through military circles and social media. The airline, though initially criticized, gained unexpected respect for the speed and sincerity of its corrective actions. Tom attended the White House ceremony, rested, dignified, and grateful. He never mentioned the incident to his granddaughter, not wanting to tarnish her thoughtful gift. But Sarah heard whispers through her own channels and called him, worried. "Grandpa, are you okay? I heard there was some kind of issue at the airport." Tom chuckled gently. "Just a little turbulence at the gate, sweetheart. Nothing a few good people couldn't smooth out." Because he understood. In a system designed to be impersonal, individual honor and a well-placed phone call could still make all the difference. And even the highest-flying corporations could be brought swiftly down to earth by the quiet dignity of a single hero. Because true respect isn't about loyalty points or fair class, it's about recognizing the immeasurable value of those who have given more than most could ever comprehend.